of going into every individual place and entering it, I'm just going to send the lyrics via Restream. It's not going to look good. It's all going to be clumped together, but you'll get the point, hopefully, and be able to sing along with me. If not, you can always look on the original video that I posted with the lyrics on it. So let me just give people a chance to jump on here. Um, and hopefully, our interaction will be better. So let me just give this a chance to go here. Good morning and happy Valentine's. I'm gonna just say it one more time, just in case, so it all can be in one video, really, just in case someone decides to jump in later. Um, it's a Valentine's Day today, so we're gonna take this week to look at love. And um, last week we spoke about, do I trust in God? Good morning, Auntie Anna again, and good morning, Eric. Good to see you. Happy Valentine's Day to you both. Um, so last week we talked about trusting in God, and for those of you who came in on Friday, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to tune in. I ended up helping live stream the program for my uncle's funeral that we had. So even though I'm here in Texas, God provided a way to be able to help out in that way. So I was glad to help our family out with the streaming. Um, but today we're going to be continuing on, but we're going to continue on with this week's topic. This week's topic, last week we talked about, do I trust God? Do I really trust God? And this week's topic and question is, oh friend, do you love Jesus? And specifically regarding the kind of love, sorry, something else just started playing in my ears. But yeah, that kind of love um, that the Bible describes in First Corinthians 13. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go ahead and look it up there. We're going to be talking about it throughout the week, so I'll go ahead and repeat it later. But just talking about, do we love God biblically? Um, and and we'll continue on with that. But today we're going to sing our songs. We're going to start, of course, with the song, "Oh Friend, Do You Love Jesus?" since that's our topic for this week. And then we will go on from there. Um, let's see here. I think I think we're all caught up and streaming fine. I'm just checking my connections here. We'll go ahead and trust that it's working. So good morning once again. We're gonna start with "Oh Friend, Do You Love Jesus?" And if you know that this song, you know it's a kind of responsive song. So I'm gonna ask you the question and you're gonna reply. And I'm only gonna sing one part so I don't go out of breath here. So let's sing. Oh friend, do you love Jesus? Are you sure you love Jesus? And why do you love Jesus? Because he first loved me. That's the reason we all ought to love him. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. All right, now let's switch it, and I'm gonna sing the response. So you act as you're singing the first part I just sang. Oh yes, I love Jesus. I'm sure I love Jesus. Here's why I love Jesus, because he first loved me. That's the reason we all ought to love him. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Because he first loved me. And I actually do believe exactly what that song says. Oh, friend, do you love Jesus? Yes, I do love Jesus. And why? It's because, you know, because you first loved me. I really believe that um, our love for God is a reaction to our awareness of His love for us. Like the more you are aware of His love, the more you can't help but love him in return. And I'll share a little bit about that tomorrow when I talk about my experience where I realized this truth. You know, the more I'm aware of someone's love, the more I in return love them and don't want to let them down. So I'll share a bit about that tomorrow. But today we're gonna go ahead and continue on with our jam session. Sundays are for sing along, so we're gonna sing along and sing our next song. So our next song I think is it's called How He Loves. And this song is a very artistically lyric song. I don't know if that makes sense, but some might read these words and think, this is kind of weird. You know, what kind of song is this? Especially if you're from the Tongan or Polynesian background, when we don't really do the lovey-dovey in public kind of thing. You know, we're just kind of just not that affectionate. You might be affectionate at home, but you sure usually don't see it in public. In the Tongan communities, it's kind of seen like unnecessary, I guess, to show these kind of things. Anywho, but this song is kind of really elaborating on like that lovey-dovey love with God and uh, his love for us. And it's also very, I say it's very artistic because it does paint a picture, a mental picture for you. And I'm just going to read it through and talk about it a little bit so that we understand what it is that we're singing here in the song. Because we don't just sing these songs for the sake of singing a pretty melody or singing harmonies. We don't sing for those reasons. If we don't understand what it is that we're singing, we really shouldn't be singing it at all, especially when it comes to worship, because it's so much more than just lending your voice to God. It's about testifying to the words that you're singing. And um, I do believe that praise and worship is an intimate experience when you're aware of the love of God. And that's why I think we shouldn't just be singing words, empty words. We ought to be singing words that are filled with, or singing songs that are filled with words that we actually believe. So we'll just talk about these words because it can seem very very just hard to understand. But it says, He is jealous for me. And that's biblical. We know our God is a jealous God, but not in the way that we might think, like, oh, jealous, and then you beat someone up because you didn't want them to talk to your spouse or whatever it may be. But it's a God. He's the kind of God that wants to be the only God, should be the only God in our lives. Then it says, He loves like a hurricane, and I am a tree. And I want you to picture that. Picture that. Those of you who might be from the islands or experience like cyclones and stuff might be able to understand this picture of just being completely consumed by a hurricane. And you're a tree in this hurricane. And it says, I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. So you're thinking about what a tree would look like in a cyclone or in a hurricane, and understand that your experience of God's wind, of God's mercy and His love is much like that tree in a hurricane. It's overwhelming. It's completely consuming. It moves you. Those kinds of things. It says, all of a sudden, I'm unaware of the afflictions eclipsed by glory, which means, I don't know if you've ever seen an eclipse where I think it's the moon and the sun kind of fall into the same place, and you see like an eclipse go by. And it's referring to our afflictions, the things that we're experiencing in life that are hard, that are trials, are eclipsed by His glory. So it's like He completely comes in front of it and just kind of makes it so it's there, but you don't really see it. And it just eclipses those afflictions. And then it says, I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. So that's what I mean by it's very artistic. It's talking about a mental picture that you have and understanding that you're completely consumed by God's love, and that awareness of His love can really start to eclipse those afflictions you might be facing in life. And then it talks about in the chorus, oh, how He loves us. And then the second one, we are His portion, He is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace of His eyes. Man, this poet. this song is definitely a poem. But drawn to redemption, we are pulled towards Him. We are pulled towards wanting to have eternal life um, by His grace, uh, by His uh, willingness to pardon us, and that being so foreign, just the way that He loves is so different from what love might look like here on earth, especially when it's not really love, it's really unhealthy. But His perfect love, it's just, and His grace draws us, and He tells us, if you lift me up, I'll bring them to me. Just keep lifting me up. And He Himself draws us to Him. It says, if grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. Like, just talking about, once again, that completely consumed, overwhelmed, overtaken by His love. His love is so vast that we're just drowning in His love. Um, and then it says, heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. And that's talking almost about like a first love, first kiss, or unforeseen kiss, and that's talking about the intimacy between in the relationship. And it's not about like a physically intimate thing. It's more so talking about just the depth of being able to know Him. Um, and heaven meets earth, we're talking about, of course, Him coming down to earth. And my heart turns violently inside of my chest. It's just that reaction. If you've ever been in love, you might have experience where your heart skips a beat, or so your chest might start to beat a little faster, or whatever it may be. And it doesn't say, and then it says, I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way He loves us. Um, so it's talking about that burden and just being aware of that love and just falling in love with God, and then not being able to pay attention to the regrets we might have because we're just so caught up in this love that God has for us. And I think this is such a beautiful expression of God's love. So we're going to go ahead and sing it. I'm going to try to play it and do it justice. But if not, we're just going to keep on singing and giving God glory. So join me as we sing. He is jealous. No, He loves us. Oops. I'm going to be playing in the A progression for those of you who'd like to play along. I got my capo here on the first fret. I think that's good enough. All right, let's sing from the top. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful You are and how great Your affections are for me. And oh, how He loves us all. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us all. From the top, He is jealous. He is jealous for me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of His wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I'm unaware of these afflictions by glory, and I realize just how beautiful You are and how great Your affections are for me. And oh, how He loves us, oh, oh, how He loves us, how He loves us, oh. Let me move this up to the right chord, sorry. drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. And heaven meets earth like an unseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. Oh, I don't have time to maintain these regrets as I think about the way that he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. Let's sing that part one more time. And oh, how he loves us. Oh, oh, how he loves us. How he loves us all. All right, let's sing our last song for this morning. We're gonna go ahead. Good morning, Elisa. We're gonna go ahead and sing our last song for this morning, which is "Reckless Love," and I love this song. I love this song a lot. And at first, I kind of didn't know if I could sing this song long. Like I said, I always love to pay attention to lyrics and what they mean, and want to be sure that what I'm singing to, I can actually testify to. But the reason why I wasn't sure if I could sing this song is because of that word reckless. And I thought to myself, reckless, we can't describe God as reckless. We can't That's not a word that describes him. Because when I thought of reckless, I only thought of like the negative things we associate reckless with today, like reckless drunk driving, um, reckless living, which refers to like partying and all that kind of stuff. But just that term reckless, I always associated with like sin. We don't want to live a reckless life. We want to live a life intentionally. That is one that God wants us to experience. So when I heard these words, I was like, God's love is reckless. What does that even mean? So instead of trying to just speculate on my own, I went to a dictionary and I looked it up, and I realized that the word reckless, by definition, means to do something without any regard of how it's going to affect yourself, which makes sense. Reckless drunk driving. Um, but that also, drunk driving is just reckless in the sense that you don't care what happens to anybody. So I don't think people should be doing that. But it, by definition, let me just read it to you from the actual definition. It says, um, the word reckless is an adjective, and it is of a person or their actions without thinking or caring about the consequences of that action. There you go. So that's what the definition is: without thinking or caring about the consequences of an action. And when we're talking about the reckless love of God, um, it's not so much that he doesn't think about it, but like the other definition I was talking about specifically talks about you don't care about what the way it's going to affect you personally. And I do believe that God loves us without any care of how much it will cost him to love us. Because we have the ability to choose to accept that love. He is completely vulnerable to expressing his love to us. And so when it talks about him having that reckless love, he is loving us in a way that he does not care about the consequences he might experience from loving us the way he did, and does, because we know that love that he has for us eventually took him to the cross, and also is the love that drives him to continue to chase after us. I love that thought and picture of God constantly coming after us and wanting to express this love towards us, not like a creepy, what do they call that? Someone who's obsessed and a stalker, not like a creepy stalker, but a person who wants to give us love. And if we choose not to accept that love, of course, he'll keep trying to express it in ways that are not stalker-ish. But he does want us to eventually be able to experience his perfect love. But he does all this effort. He puts out all that effort without caring about how what he's going to have to pay for, or the way that he's going to have to pay for expressing that love. So as we're singing this song, I just want you to meditate on all the ways that God has tried to show you in your life how he loves you, and just, really ask yourself, do I love him the same? Do I love him in return? And am I aware of this love that he has for me? So I'm on the capo once again. Capo is on the first fret, and I am playing in the, what is this? The first one is E minor, but that's not the chord progression I'm in. So let me just check what chord progression I'm in. I think this is the C. Oh no, this is the D chord progression. D, E minor, C, and G. Those are the chords I'm using. Starting with E minor. Let's sing this song together. This will be our last song for this morning. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never endless love of God. Well, so those are our songs for today. That is our set, and you know, just want to reiterate that this week we're reflecting on this question: "Oh, friend, do you love Jesus?" And I hope that we don't doubt that He loves us, and if we do, I'm pretty sure it's because we are unaware of His love to us. I know I mentioned this before. I really do believe that our love for God is a reaction to our awareness of His love for us. So if you feel like you aren't sure about how you feel towards God, maybe you need to spend some time this week getting to know Him a little deeper, a little more. Um, Not in just a superficial surface level, but dive deep into it, get artistic with it, like our lyricists today have done, and really allow yourself to discover the love God has for you and see if that alone won't grow your love for Him. Like I said, I'll share a little bit more about this topic. We're going to discuss this topic all week between today and Friday, and our time is 9:30. We do start at 9:30, and I will begin on time. I hope you guys have a blessed day. For those of you who are celebrating Valentine's Day, um, I hope you enjoy your Valentine's Day as well, and that no matter if you're in a relationship or not, I hope that you truly experience the love of God today over everything else. May you guys be blessed. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow on Morning Manna at 9:30 a.m. No, Central Standard Time. Yes. All right.